AI is so actively ingrained in almost everything. Every company, every tech company has been integrating AI into their systems. And I totally understand the purists in regards to creativity saying boycott AI, boycott AI, boycott AI. I wonder, for how long will that be a realistic mindset? Welcome back to another episode of the Pen to Plot podcast with your hosts, KJ Herman and Chelsea Fawcett.
We're your creative besties, and we're here to cheer you on and help you stay inspired to achieve your writing dreams.
Hey everyone, I'm one of your hosts, KJ Herman. Chelsea isn't with us today, but that's okay. We will see her on the next one. The topic that I wanted to chat with you guys about today is something that I think is really top of mind for all of the creatives in the world currently. And that is, can I use AI technology to help write my story? In this episode, what I want to go over is essentially what the controversy around AI is all about and why opinions are so divisive. We'll talk about the ways that AI is currently being used to craft stories, what the Pen to Plot community thinks of AI integration into the story writing process, and the biggest takeaways creatives should keep in mind when thinking about integrating AI tech into their story writing process, or if they should even do it at all. Plus, if you want a method of speeding up your writing process that does not use AI technology whatsoever, just wait until the end of the episode, and that's where I'll share them. So, what is the controversy around AI, and why is it so very, very polarizing? The acronym for AI is artificial intelligence. Kind of early considerations for AI use was in how it could solve math problems and other logic problems. Most people's kind of earliest exposure to general AI was probably with products like Siri or Alexa. You probably had one in your home, those little it looks like a stone or looks like a hockey puck, and you sit it on your kitchen counter and then forget about it. But today, though, especially over the past 5 years, AI has rapidly evolved. AI research platforms like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, there are writing assistants like Grammarly, Notion AI, image and video creation AI platforms like Dolly, Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, a whole bunch of them are coming out. They're just coming out of the woodwork. Every day there's a new program that I hear about. Why is this a problem? The biggest criticisms, especially when it comes to the creative industries, for one, is really feeling like creatives are kind of being replaced, and artistry is just being replaced by machines. AI gets better at creating things by learning from what artistry is already available to view, and it learns how to write and research better based on what information is available, and then it also learns from user input. So the ethical concern is that creatives reasonably are very worried that these AI models are essentially stealing their work, learning off of them, and then creating these new works all without the original artist's permission. And that's not just for visual artistry, it's for written work as well. Also now, because of how advanced AI has become, the work is pretty passable, and you can create it in a fraction of the time. It does honestly feel like there is an attack on creativity itself and the value of artistry itself in an industry that, already has enough troubles as it is. There's also concern about AI's environmental impact, but that's a larger discussion that we won't have time to address today. On the flip side, trying to keep things balanced here, people who are pro-AI or AI apologists are claiming that AI democratizes creativity by making it more financially accessible for people who do not have traditional training in a creative industry or in a creative field, or that it is more accessible for people with disabilities to create art in whatever medium. It enhances efficiency by automating the creative process so that breakthroughs can happen faster, that this can actually enhance human creativity as opposed to replacing it. That's where we get into a bit of a gray area. At this point, with how popular AI has become, not only are non-creatives exploring its uses and the uses of generative AI, but now people who personally identify as artists are being exposed to it en masse, and we're getting curious about its uses in writing and in storytelling, because there's all of this new technology that's available to us, but are we as creatives expected not to touch any of it? Is it completely taboo, or is it okay to use in some sense, in some small part, in any stage of the creation process? In research, using it for idea generation, grammar checking, editing and formatting, or, like, let's be honest, if you want to get really freaking lazy, people are using it to write entire novels based off of a couple of prompts. Just putting that out there because that's realistic. That's what's happening. I want to pose a question to the audience. Does it matter how the work was made if the work is objectively good? Where do you draw the line? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Before I actually started recording this video, I posed a question to the Pen to Plot audience on our social media accounts, and we got a ton of answers. So the question, to reiterate, specifically was, is it ever acceptable to use AI in the novel writing process? Whether that be research, character development, outlining, writing, etc. Or will you boycott work that has used AI at any stage? Here's what we think. Shane Al Esley, who says, if I find out an artist is using AI, I stop buying their art. If an audiobook is created using AI voices, I won't buy. I patronize artists so the artist can make more art. If they start outsourcing their work onto AI trained on those works of other artists, I lose respect for them. I also have Martin, the actor, that takes a very strong stance. They say, no tech built on the denial of copyright licensing can be ethical ever. Even if a writer uses only MS Word, Notion, or Grammarly just to write, they're supporting companies that built their tech on intellectual property infringements, companies that broke the law, especially when there are other solutions out there. So, LLM-based AI used at any stage of the writing process is unacceptable to me and is to be avoided. Oh, that's a rough one. MS Word, Notion, Grammarly, these are so very commonly used, especially Grammarly. Like, I have to admit that, I use Grammarly. What are the alternatives? Are there alternatives? Because I don't know of any. If you know alternatives to MS Word, Notion, or Grammarly, leave a comment, because I'd really be interested in hearing some. This is honest and very blunt. Do Good Puzzler says, if I know an author has been that fucking lazy, I will equally not make an effort to read or support them in any way. So there you go. Here's a quick comment from Dragon or Human, giving a different perspective on the use of AI. Not everyone can afford editors and graphic artists. That being said, I think graphic artists can bring your vision to life better than AI. I'd use an artist for the book cover. I would use AI in some marketing images for social media. AI for outlining and other editing would be fine. There's no guarantee that editors you hire aren't using the same tools these days. but I do like the back and forth discussion with an actual person for editing. No easy answer. It's really about affordability. I've also got Just Being Stella, again on Threads. And I really like this response because it's a bit more balanced, I think. I feel the underlying issue of AI is the lack of understanding of how it is used. Assistive AI can be helpful, as in, I show my students how they can ask for a list of Supreme Court cases involving insert topic here. That is assistive. Asking it to write the answer to the prompt that prompted the list of cases is not proper. The only thing that shows me is that you can copy-paste a prompt. Generative AI also tends to falsify sources at times, and it does hold a bias about topics. Also, as a historian, I find it not only biased to our own time and place, but it also often shows only sources from the past 5 years or so. When a student needs a will from the 1640s and it can't bring that up without making up a false source, that is problematic. So I fall into the camp of learning to use the assistive abilities properly, including inspection for confirmation bias, among other things, and then generating your own work from all sources, not just AI. ChatGPT and these other research platforms don't have the answers to all of the questions that we have, and they should probably not be used, if you're going to use it, as your only source for research, because there's no guarantee that it's going to give you the absolute correct answer. You have to cross-reference everything. And that's the same sort of deal if you're dealing with any type of research. If you're like pulling things off of, Google or Wikipedia or whatever, you have to cross-reference that with something. You can never really just take any sort of information from one source and call it a day. And I have one more here about the nature of using AI specifically for writing. Okay, so I have Demova_writer. And Demova says, I'm a bit geeky-ish, so I've tried a lot, and for me, AI could be useful for typo and grammar check, fast for synonyms and vocabulary, also research. I write sci-fi, so I search a lot of tech stuff online, and so on. It's kind of bad at creativity work. If you ask it enough, you'll easily find it tends to just copy other things. That's obvious since it can't create from zero. And honestly, I found it quite banal in plotting and dialogues. I have not gotten very many answers like this when I pose this question to the community. Not a lot of people want to admit that they have used it in some capacity for writing. But thank you, Demova Writer, for expressing your experience with actually the writing aspect of AI and what it can do. And it's just not as good as when you as a human being come up with your own ideas, execute it in your own way, and incorporate your own unique voice into your writing. Those are the opinions of the community on this specific subject. You have a lot of people, I want to say the majority of people are saying absolutely no AI, boycott, we don't like it, leave it out of our artistry, which is fair. We have some AI apologists and some people that are weighing the pros and the cons of AI use in the creative process. So is it ethical to use AI to write your story? The majority say no. The majority do not respect AI use. So, if you want to have work right now in this current climate, if you want to have creative work that is respected and taken seriously, it's probably best to just not use AI at all, because then you don't have to feel any of the guilt. You don't have to feel any of the pressure or feel ashamed because you used AI in some capacity to create your creative work. My personal opinion is that personally, I do not use any sort of AI for writing in my creative work. In fact, I use pen and paper. I write all of my novel in my notebook. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like pen to paper allows me to be more connected to my writing. But when you do something like write pen to paper, keeping it real low tech, if you want to get away from AI altogether and not even be tempted by it, this is a great way to stay emotionally connected to your writing. And I also write in pen, so I'm not tempted to write and erase anything that I write either. So it's very free flowing. That's what I do, and it's been working for me so far. I do have to admit, full transparency here, I might lose some people for this based on the comments that we've gotten on our on the Pentaplot social media. I have definitely used ChatGPT for research purposes. Yeah, I have. And you do a Google search and it comes up with AI answers. AI is so actively ingrained in almost like everything that we can do now. Every company, every tech company has been integrating AI into their systems. It's kind of unavoidable. And I totally understand the purists in regards to creativity saying like boycott AI, boycott AI, boycott AI. That's fair. Like obviously I'm not out here saying that I think people should write stories with AI. I think that's lazy. And when I hear of someone that has used AI to write, especially creative works, I immediately just don't want to read it, because it's like, well, this didn't really come from anything. This is just words spat out on a page. But also to deny its use and its usefulness completely and saying that we can't touch it at all. I wonder for how long will that be a realistic mindset? I think we're missing the plot of why people write to begin with. To be an author is not merely to spit out novels and stories that sell, but it is also in its own way this sort of spiritual, therapeutic kind of journey for the writer themselves. Creative writing has not only more value to others when it's created by a person, completely written by a person, but it also has 1,000 times more value to ourselves, written by us with our love and our labor and our own vision for our work. By writing with our own mind and working with our own hands to craft our stories, that far exceeds the benefit of speed to create something that is shallow and just a copy of our unique voice. Those are my thoughts on the topic. So if you're looking for ways to increase your productivity without incorporating AI technology into your process whatsoever, I have a few tools and techniques that I use in my personal writing routine that have really helped me to get ideas down on the page fast and just kind of make that process more seamless without using any sort of kind of technologies that are going to make you feel guilty or ashamed or embarrassed to disclose that information later on. So if you're a pen to paper girly or guy, these are going to be helpful for you as well. So first automation tool that helps speed things up for me that I really love to use is voice to text. So voice to text for me has been a game changer because I write pen to paper, and even though I'm writing pen to paper, I got to get it on the computer somehow. So what I like to do is I have an app on my phone. A lot of phones already have this app built into the notes feature. So on my notes, my Samsung notes, I can click voice to text. It records me reading out the work that I've written and transposes it to my notes. like immediately. And then I can take that and upload it to the Google Doc where I have all the rest of my existing transcribed novel hosted. You can also use apps that convert handwritten text to digital text, like Google Lens or Noteblock. Also, this is very low tech, and I didn't even know that it was okay to do this until just recently. Another author reached out to me and we were talking about ways to speed up the writing process. And maybe I'm just crazy, but if you're short on time or if you're short on focus, write just the dialogue or just jot down quick scene beats without getting bogged down by description to start. And I always thought that that was cheating. Like, because I'm not writing a script, I'm writing a novel, so I should be writing the whole thing with dialogue and description all at the same time, right? But no, you don't have to. And sometimes it's a lot easier to get thoughts out first if you treat it like you are kind of writing a script. So just writing out the dialogue and then going in afterwards and filling in the description. And that actually saves a lot of time and it saves a lot of like brain energy to be able to get things done that way. You just want to find quick ways to get ideas down, especially for a first draft. And that makes things a lot easier for you later on down the line when you pick it up to add that description because you already have reference points for the ideas that you were exploring to begin with. And lastly, what I like to do is pull snippets of text directly from the outline instead of starting all of your writing by scratch when you go into actually writing your novel. All words can be used. All writing, no matter what stage it was created in, can be used to flesh out the story. Also, if productivity is an issue for you or you feel like you're running into a bit of a writer's block, the tips that I just mentioned here are actually step 6 in Pen to Plot's 9-step writing productivity workbook. If you want to discover more key concepts in maintaining consistent productivity in your writing, I will have a link to that mini workbook down below. It's a freebie. So just like plug your email in and you get it for free. And that brings us to the end of our episode. So thank you again so much for tuning in and to the Pentaplot community for all of your very thoughtful responses. We really, really appreciate it. And we know that this is a very controversial topic. I think this is probably one of the most controversial topics that we've had to address to date. Chelsea would say so. She's here in spirit, but yeah, very top of mind, very controversial, and we appreciate all of your insights. So, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to the Pen to Plot podcast. And also, if you're tuning in here on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support helps our content get discovered so that we can reach more authors with more inspiring content and these hard discussions so that we can all stay motivated and inspired as creatives. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one. Keep creating, keep dreaming, and remember, your story matters. So let's write it. Cody_AE has a very sinister view. He says AI has the potential to be a dark age level disaster. Most high level jobs will be eliminated by AI and prohibitive costs of college. Then some big event will happen, turning off the power from lack of maintenance and investing in infrastructure to stay ahead of the constant demand to power needs. Add casual acceptance and implementation could mean AI are adopted into more dangerous fields where logical interpretation of their duty results in extinction. So, I feel like we're developing our own matrix. That's what's happening. Soon we're just going to be the underlings to the AI overlords. And they will harvest our energy and we will all live in a simulation. Like, for real, though. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. But thank you, Cody_AE, for your very sinister and frightening opinion on the use of AI. I don't know if it has anything to do with specifically writing, but it's an interesting story.